Hey, Spartan Engineers, I'm Jane Avarian with the Center, and we are going to talk about interviewing. Specifically, we're going to talk about how to become interview ready with some preparation, some practice, and a little bit of Who Logic. So I've split this session into 5 parts. Part 1, we'll spend a little time talking about the purpose of an interview. We'll spend some time talking about how you prepare for the interview. I'm going to introduce Who Logic as a methodology you can use to respond to interview questions that come your way. And then I want to talk a little bit about what you can do after the interview. And finally, we'll talk a little bit about interview resources and practice options. So let's get started. Okay, interview purpose. If you remember nothing else, remember that the interview is a conversation. It's a chat between you and one person or maybe more. It's an opportunity for you to share information about yourself and for the company to share information about the job and the organization. You're just learning about each other. The other thing it is an opportunity for you to share your relevant skills and experiences that align with the job. Really important piece of the interview. And finally, the other thing that's happening during an interview is both parties are trying to assess fit. You're trying to figure out whether or not you want to work for this company, and they're also trying to figure out whether or not they want you to work for their company. So there is a fit assessment going on, and that's all part of a conversation. So just think of it as a chat and have fun with it. Enjoy, relax, be your professional self. Okay, the other thing I want to share with you is that interviews happen using a variety of mediums. They can happen by phone, virtually, in person. They can be mixed up as part of an interview process. So you could have a round 1 interview by phone and then subsequent interviews virtually and or in person. Regardless, it's a conversation. Relax, be your authentic self, and make sure that you're providing information about your relevant skills and experiences. The other thing I want to say about interviewing, if you're doing it virtually, so much like I'm talking with you right now, check out my background. No distractions. It's a blank wall. My lighting is good. You want to make sure that you're set up well if you're having a virtual interview. Okay, preparation. Really important to conduct research. You want to spend some time with the job posting. So take a close look at the responsibilities of the job, the skills, the qualifications. And then you want to ask yourself, do I have examples? Can I provide evidence that I have skills and experiences related to many of the skills and experiences and responsibilities on the job posting? Really important to do that. The other thing you can do is spend some time with the company website. Learn what the company does. How do they do the work they do? What outcomes do they produce? What are they proud of? What are they talking about on their website? That can actually help you formulate questions for your interviewer as well. So you want to spend some time with both the job posting and the company website. And you can do a little bit of networking and outreach. You could reach out to Spartans who have had some sort of experience with the company. Maybe they work there currently or have worked there in the past, and you can seek insights and advice from them. How do you do that? You can use LinkedIn to identify people. You can also go to Handshake, pull up the employer, and you'll see a list of students and alumni who've had some sort of experience with that company. Don't be shy. Reach out to people. They're usually willing to help. Gathering up all of this intel, all of this information equals good preparation. So spend some time with research. Okay, the other thing you want to be thinking about when you're preparing for an interview, you want to think about your appearance. What are you going to wear? As you can see, I suited up for this activity. Our person on the slide, they're dressed appropriately for an interview. They're carrying a portfolio. Now, hopefully there's a resume, pen, and paper inside because it's okay to take notes while you're interviewing. The other thing you want to think about is that handshake. If you're meeting someone in person, even though we're living in the world of germ conscientiousness, handshakes still happen. So it's important that when you shake hands, you've got a good firm handshake. You don't want to kill anybody, but you want a firm handshake. It says something about your confidence, your self assertiveness and awareness. If you have a little limp handshake, sometimes that can say to the person you're shaking hands with that maybe you're not so confident. Maybe you're a little uncertain about yourself. So make sure you work on that handshake. These simple things mean a lot. They're all about first impressions. The other thing is just be your authentic self. Be professional, be polite, be pleasant, but just relax. Breathe, slow down. I don't know about you, but when I get nervous, I have a tendency to talk really fast, maybe say too much. So just breathe and relax. Just be your authentic self and relax. The other thing I'm going to say about appearance, if you're not sure what to wear for your interview, you can reach out to the person at the company who's been working with you to set up the interview, and you can ask them, what's the appropriate attire for an interview with your organization? They will tell you. If all else fails and you're not sure, stop in and see us at the center. We can talk with you about appearance. We can even practice a handshake with you. Okay. The other thing that happens quite a bit when I'm doing some work with individuals to help them prepare for interviewing is they will often ask me, I just have no idea what interview questions are coming my way. Well, generally speaking, most questions come from the categories that are on the list here on this slide. Usually there's an introductory question. Tell me about yourself. Minimally with the introductory question, you want to share some enthusiasm about the job, the company. And the great thing that you could do is you could use your resume. You can just verbally walk through your resume, highlighting those skills and experiences that are most relevant to the job. That's a great way to answer the tell me about yourself question. There are common questions like share your strengths and weaknesses. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? There are also technical questions. Now, I want to say a couple of things about technical questions here. If you're more advanced in your degree, so you're a senior and you're applying for full-time jobs, you can anticipate getting a few more technical questions. The expectation is that you've had more exposure, you've had more experience, and more time in your major, so you can expect more technical questions. If you're a first or second year student, you're applying for your first internship or a co-op experience, it's likely you're not going to get that many technical questions. You may get a few, but not that many. It's more likely that you'll get common questions or behavioral questions. I mentioned behavioral questions. What are they? Behavioral questions are used frequently. They typically are asked like this: tell me about a time when. And what the interviewer is trying to do here is understand how you've behaved in the past to help them predict how you'll behave in the future. It's a great opportunity for you to provide examples, particularly if you're demonstrating certain skills or characteristics related to the job. The other category, and I kind of lump these two things together, situational questions. And situational questions are asking you to think about what you would do. What would you do if? Case questions, a little different, but somewhat similar to situational. The interviewer is usually presenting you with a problem or a challenge and asking you to work through a solution. Now, are there any right or wrong answers here necessarily in a case question? Not really. They're really trying to look at how you think and how you move through the process of problem solving. So those are the basic question categories. If you want more information or you want to take a look at sample questions and answers related to these question categories, read Chapter 9 in Who Logic. It gives you really, really good sample question and answers. The other thing I would say is at the end of the interview, typically your interviewer is going to say, what questions do you have for me? So this is a great opportunity for you to use your research. Come up with 3 to 5 questions, things you're curious about related to the job and the company. So those are question categories that may come your way. Now, I want to give you a sample interview question, and I want to show you how I use WhoLogic to respond to the question. So I'm going to use the book, WhoLogic. I'm going to use the resume that's in that book of the character, and she has had some experience at a local restaurant. She's working as a delivery driver, but she's also done something else. So here she is sitting in an interview, and the interviewer says to her, "Tell me about a time you took initiative to solve a problem." Great. Happy to tell you about a time I took initiative to solve a problem. While I was working for a local restaurant, I noticed that there was no social media being used. I also knew through conversations with my boss that they were losing money. They were losing customers and they were really worried. So I suggested building a social media presence, and my boss said yes. So I brought in Facebook and Instagram. I started doing outreach campaigns. I started including coupons and incentives. I used Google Analytics to measure traffic. And within 6 months of launch, we increased revenue by 25%. Do you hear the what, the how, and the outcome in my response? You should. I told you what the situation was by telling you the problems the restaurant was having and that there was no social media. I talked about how I handled the situation, but taking initiative to bring in Facebook, Instagram, outreach campaigns, Google Analytics. And then the outcome produced was that there was a 25% increase in revenue generation. What, how outcome? It can be really helpful for you, not only for behavioral questions, but really any question that gives you an opportunity to provide evidence, to provide proof, to give an example. So use WhoLogic if it's useful for you. So there you are. You've moved through the interview. You've had all kinds of questions come your way. And after the interview, you're feeling great because you had a wonderful conversation. So now it's time to send a thank you note. Very easy to do. If you're looking for sample thank you notes, we have them available for you inside the interview chapter in the WhoLogic book on our website. But here's the other thing that you can do. And also get ChatGPT involved and ask ChatGPT to help you write a draft of a thank you note. All you need to do is upload the job posting, your resume, and ask ChatGPT to create a draft. It does a pretty good job because what you want in that thank you note is you want to express your gratitude for their time. Maybe you want to reiterate a few skills and experiences relevant to the job. And you want to also indicate that you continue to be very interested. So that's what you can do after the interview. And finally, what I want to share with you is I hope you feel a little more interview ready. If you need more interview resources, we invite you to spend some time with the interview chapter in WhoLogic. It's on our website. You can also schedule time with center staff to do a practice interview, and all of that's available at careers.egr.msu.edu. You can also do some recorded interviewing practice using InterviewStream. It's a software platform that has hundreds of questions available to you. You can practice. So take a look, check out InterviewStream. It's on Handshake, and then you go to Career Center, select resources, and interview prep. Again, I hope you feel a little more prepared with interviewing. Relax, have fun with it, and thanks so much for your time.